And we are back with our third and final segment for the morning, and it's all about preparation for a hurricane. We are joined by Terrence Woodeye, and he is the logistics officer of the Red Cross. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right. Now, we are in June, and if you're a Belizean, you know what that means. It's the hurricane season, the start of the hurricane season, and the conversation right now is all about the weather and the heat and the possibility of having a lot of storms and hurricanes. But with that comes preparation. And you're here to talk to us about what we should be preparing or how our preparation should look like when it comes to a hurricane. Let's start things off there.
Okay, so good morning once again.
Yeah.
Yes, when it comes to preparation, as a country, we should have been preparing just after Hurricane Lisa last year. But as we know, most families or most of us as Belizeans, we tend to procrastinate and wait last minute to do stuff. There are three phases when it comes to preparation: the before segment, during, and after. So before the disasters hit the country, we need to have things in place, like, for example, do we know where we're going before the hurricane strike in the event we need to evacuate? Do we know what are the routes? Do we have items that we'll need? All this stuff. But what we have been, and this is annual stuff, annually when hurricane comes, we notice that people, they do last minute shopping. Yeah. They go, the shelves are almost spilled, and it becomes chaos. But if we take time to step back, and we know hurricane season is 1 year away, we don't have to buy our groceries in a big amount. But I mean, this week you buy 2 can stuff. Next week you buy next 2 can until you get your amount of stuff. So preparation takes time. It's a process. It's an ongoing process. But the main thing here, we don't want to wait until the last minute.
Yeah.
Right?
Now, we've seen examples just from last year when we weathered Hurricane Lisa, where persons were almost sheltering in grocery stores because they waited that long, literally when the hurricane was making landfall, to go and buy their canned foods. But as you mentioned, this is something that we should be doing way before,
exactly.
As of, the year before even. But aside from canned foods, there are other ways that we should be preparing ourselves for a storm, and that involves our property and also health. Let's talk about that.
When it comes to health, especially for elderly in the home, we need to make sure we have adequate medication. So if we have a stock every month to buy certain medication, we need to stock up more, especially for elderly. They are the priority. But we have, and this will help you, we have a family emergency plan booklet, and this tells you everything that you need to be prepared, how you need to be prepared. The family emergency plan. Here in the first page, it has the family name, the surname. It has the mother name, father name, and children. Depending on how much children you have, you want to put their names there.
Okay.
And each person is responsible for something in the household. Yeah. Like, for example, you could put the father is responsible to purchase the grocery. Maybe the mother is responsible to get all the medication together. One of the child is responsible to take care of the pet. Next one is to get the water. So everyone has a role in this book. Yeah. It's a very detailed book. It tells you items you'll need to know before the disaster, things you need to do during and after. And this we usually give this out at activities like health fairs, or whatever activities. We have our family emergency plan that we usually give out the booklet.
And it's free.
It's free.
Yeah.
It's free. It's free.
Let's go back to what you mentioned earlier in the conversation, Terrence, with the fact that you found that Belizeans are serious procrastinators.
Yes.
We know that during this time of year, the country is exposed or susceptible to natural disasters. And we should all have a hurricane plan in place. While we know this to be true, for some reason or the other, people choose to put things off, prioritize other, finances and what have you. And then a hurricane comes. It's a last-minute scenario where people are scrambling, to either secure their properties or to purchase the necessary items that they need. In your line of work, when you respond to these families and these places in the wake of a disaster, what do you observe? What's your primary observation?
Most families weren't prepared. food, one of the main items that when we go into the community and after our assessment, because we do our assessment as a team, one of the main priority on that list would be food.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, if you know a disaster is coming, you want to prepare yourself, have food for a couple of days. You know,
non-perishables.
Non-perishables, canned food, non-perishables. So food is one of the main items. But we have teams that goes out and do assessment, and through the assessment we'll see what the families out there need, you know. But food is one of the main things, which shouldn't be, you should be prepared.
Is depending on where you live and the kinds of conditions that you're living in, certain structural things may be outside of your immediate control.
Exactly.
But things like stacking up on food and first aid kits and what have you should be something that you could gradually build towards in the event of a situation.
Right. We do training, for example, when we're out of season, I would say before the hurricane season, we do a lot of training. We teach a lot about first aid, shelter management, hurricane preparedness. Just last week, I was at Hands in Hand Ministry. They have acquired for me to go and do some training there. So what we did a disaster preparedness training. We have families sat down in different groups in which area they live in, and they do a mapping of the area, their home, the shelters around their home, the stores, evacuation route, the low-lying area. If there's flooding, we need to evacuate these people first. So it's a good training we do. We do several trainings when it comes to that. Right. We also give first aid training as well.
Yeah. When we're thinking about the Red Cross, we think about response to disaster.
Yes.
And we see you guys in action primarily during the hurricane seasons. But let's talk about other areas that you guys work off that season.
Well, it's, as I mentioned earlier, it's mostly training. We also have a home care course going on, and we have this course roughly 4 to 5 times per year, which will teach family members how to care for the elderly. It's a certified course.
Yeah.
It's a course that is high in demand, and we have it 4 times per year. Right? It's that's one of the courses we do. A lot of people don't know that recently we've been having a lot of fires in Belize, a lot of fire victims. We also assist fire victims.
Okay.
Yeah, they would come to Red Cross. They would get a letter from Human Development, come to us, and we give basic items like blankets, water cans, hygiene kit, kitchen set. You give some kits, yeah.
All right.
How are you guys able to, I would presume that you're working closely with the business community in some respects to be able to gather all of these relief items.
Yes, we do have partners. We have a MOU when it comes to, now we do this before disaster again. We'll sit down and we'll go to them, and in the event of a disaster, we'd like to work along with you, like to get food item. We also have, like for example, we don't have a truck, a big truck, a box truck to take out food, so we partner with different entities, like Brothers Sabbath. We usually partner with them every year, and they're always there assisting us. We work side by side whenever there's a disaster. He sends his truck. We have our volunteers that goes out to the different communities, and sometimes it's out district and in the communities to deliver the food item and the different kits that we give to families that have been affected.
I observed that firsthand last year in the wake of Lisa.
Yes.
Where you guys were in the Vista Del Mar area that was directly affected by that weather system.
Yes.
And the fact that indeed the Habet vehicle is right there helping with the movement of the mattresses and what have you.
Yeah, we partner. I mean, every year we talk to them, and we always, not only Habet, but we have partner, like for example, as you know, Red Cross is the NEMO is the for the government, but Red Cross we assist NEMO and the government as well. We're auxiliary. That's the word I want. We're auxiliary to the government of Belize. So yes, we assist them a lot. We do have people, for example, when a disaster is coming to Belize, we have our colleagues from other Red Cross countries that they monitor the system. And even before the hurricane hits our country, they will come in country, set up EOC and start their planning. So after the disaster, then we go out, we have our teams, we have our volunteers on standby. They'd come in and we get dispatched to the different area to do assessment. We also use, before in the past we used to use paper and pen, but now, with technology move up, we have all the assessment firms in the paper, in the phone. We use Kobo. Yeah.
Everything
You
is
know-
digital.
Everything is digital, exactly.
You know, Terrence, when I think about the work that you guys do, as well as other organizations that are responsive to disasters, I really commend you guys because you too are weathering these disasters. You
Right.
have family members that are weathering the disasters, but yet you're the ones that are out there
That's true.
responding to persons that may have prepared but have still been heavily impacted by
Of
whatever
course.
storm. Of course, there are other cases of persons that did not prepare as well. Can you speak about that, the sacrifice that it takes from your teams when you too have families as well that you have to leave many times to go and respond to persons that didn't prepare?
Well, that's a very good question. Not only during disaster, but Red Cross we work 24/7. Even on the weekends we work. So your family have to understand the type of job you're in and what you do. Sometimes we go out and come in late because of going to the communities, and the time we hold meetings would be only the time they're available, which will be after hours. So especially if we go district, we'd travel back to the city and come in late. And yes, it's the families have to understand. I mean, my wife, for example, she is a volunteer at Red Cross, so she understands what's going on, and she assists us sometimes.
Yeah.
But yes, it takes a lot from the family, but it's just the idea, or just that giving and sharing and helping others. For example, for Hurricane Lisa, the radio says stay in, but I live in St. Martin's Lake, not far from where I live on Sunflower Street, and it's a good thing that the hurricane hit us during the day that we could have seen.
Yeah.
I was inside and I peeped through my window to the back, and I noticed my neighbor all the way to the end. He was on top of his roof. I'm not sure if he's trying to nail down his roof at that time, but at that time you put yourself at risk.
Yeah.
So you want to do this thing when you want to do everything that you can before the disaster. Don't wait until the last minute.
Yeah.
Myself, my roof were lifting off, but I couldn't go outside and do anything. I
Yeah.
just waited till it passed, and then I went out afterwards.
Because your safety comes first.
Safety comes first. You can replace a roof, but a life,
Yeah.
you can't replace that. So,
Alright.
I had one final question before we wrap up the conversation here. It's the idea of volunteerism and the fact
Yeah.
that you guys work on people who give of their time
Right.
to be able to reach out and assist the public. Talk about
That-
that for this year.
well, we have a various staff at Red Cross. I can tell you right now, I have roughly 5 person on staff. So our volunteers are the driving force
Yeah.
behind Red Cross and Red Cross movement. Without the volunteers, we wouldn't be anywhere today. We have volunteers that comes in on a daily basis every week. They come to see what they have to do, and we'd call them. We have volunteers with skills. Whenever we need a volunteer, we'd call them and they would go. Like, for example, school is closing right recently, but before school closes, we usually have sporting activities.
Yeah.
We have 7 volunteers who are fully trained in basic first aid and CPR, and we usually send them out to the different activities in the event of injuries to
Yeah.
assist in sporting event and so on. But our volunteers are trained. We make sure that our volunteers are fully trained in whatever we have to offer, because the volunteers are who assist us during disasters.
Yeah.
But they are the driving force behind Red Cross.
Alright.
Yeah.
Just before we wrap things up, I just want to remind the viewers on how they can get a preparedness booklet.
Yes, at the moment I can say that at our office we'll have it in Spanish.
Okay.
We'll try to get some English one, but yes, they can go to Red Cross and just pick up a booklet.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Terrence, for joining us this morning. We appreciate the information, and of course, we know that this is useful for all of us as we are currently in the hurricane season. But still, disaster strikes at any time.
That's true. Climate change.
Exactly.
Everything is changing. And it's always good here have a family first aid kit. We need to make sure that all the families in Belize, and you can make your own kit, you can Google it, contents of a first aid kit, but we do sell a kit as well.
Okay.
But it's very important that each home in Belize have a family first aid kit.
What's the cost of your kit?
We sell it at Belize Red Cross for $170 Belize.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank
We
you
are going to take our final break, and when we come back, we wrap things up.